Welcome back, everyone. Well, you know, today is a special day. We're celebrating the birthday of someone who really believed in non-violence. And when you think about it, conflict is pretty much at the center of most things that involve violent actions and reactions. And I found just a great guest today to talk to about this. It's Michael Chase. And Michael is the director of a program called the M.A.N program. And that means Manage Anger Naturally. Words you don't often hear together. So first, welcome, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
Really nice to have you here.
Great to be here.
We had a wonderful conversation before. I just want to go back a little bit, and let's just talk about those three words. Manage anger naturally. What's behind that?
Well, what's behind it is managing anger naturally, knowing that it's an emotion that you will never master. And so it's a process about getting to know yourself, getting to know the world around you and the people that you are involved in.
You know, when you think about conflict, and I just really want to circle that word a lot in this conversation, the tendency there is to blame everyone else.
Exactly.
When in reality, it never starts there, and it probably won't end there.
Yeah, that's the point. When we get angry, it's always someone else's fault. It's always, you did this to me, you're not hearing me. And we never look at ourselves and never take the introspective look and see that there's sometimes internal conflict that provokes us to getting angry.
I want to cycle back just a little bit. What got you involved in this?
Well, what got me involved in it as well, I come from a dysfunctional family myself, and my family was angry for many different reasons, for poverty, for lack of income, for relationship, getting in the wrong relationship, starting late in life, you know, having personal conflict with oneself and feeling that they've been incomplete or injustice somehow. And I've seen some very, very, very sad situations just while growing up, and it helped me to understand myself a lot more and to ask some questions about what I want out of life.
Well, you know, that happens to be a very natural talent, by the way, because you could have gone one way or the other. You could have been absorbed by that dysfunctionality. You could have been absorbed by anger and turned out very differently.
Absolutely. It's because I make choices.
Yes, right. Yeah. So, you know, the whole idea that any program like this gives you the tools to work with, and I think that that's an important word to recognize here. So, let's say you deal with a lot. You deal with people coming back from terms in the service, right?
Correct.
You deal with people who are incarcerated for a period of time.
Correct.
You deal with individuals who are struggling, trying to find their ways. What are some of the common threads that you see?
Well, because of the specialty I work as a service to the courts, and so they usually mandate individuals to take the program. I see a variety of human circumstances, and so and provocative circumstances, usually through relationships. People get into very sour relationships and relationships that they did not expect to get into, and they just don't know how to handle it. A lot of times you don't know how to handle it because you can't see the future. You don't know what to expect. So preparation is key when thinking about anger and trying to get an understanding of oneself while going forward in life.
If you're talking about relationships there, people getting into relationships for the wrong reason, sure, many people can relate to this. What are some of the choices that they're making that are not correct?
Some of the choices that they're making is, one, are we compatible? Do we fit together? You know, how do you really pretty much minister to my needs? If you can't answer these questions, one for yourself, to give someone an expectation, then no one's going to figure you out. Right. You have to do it yourself.
So in other words, and you see this happen all the time, you know, people wonder why marriage rates fail.
Absolutely.
in such a high degree. And, you know, people make choices in relationships based on emotion.
Exactly.
They would make it based on passion.
Yes.
Now, while those are key ingredients, because let's face it, we're human beings, you have to go deeper.
Absolutely. And a lot of it is bound by expectation. Sometimes when we get into a relationship, I have an expectation based according to how I think you should treat me, or in its essence, or what's in my head. And a lot of times, people don't know what's going on in your head. They're not mind readers. You have to be verbal. You have to open yourself up to communication. That is critical. That is huge in relationship building, in any relationship. It doesn't even have to be intimate, but communication is vital.
Right, and so it starts to go wrong. Intensity builds,
yes.
right? another seed for conflict. What can someone do once they realize that they're headed down the wrong path?
Well, some of the more simpler ways that you can manage your anger is breathing, learning to control your breathing.
Something so simple.
So simple, yeah. Controlling your breathing, knowing that your atmospheres, your circumstances, your situations change. Therefore, your breathing has to change in every situation. If we go swimming, we have to adjust. If we outside and we're in a hard temperature like the winter we're in now, your breathing changes. We have to change. We have to be adaptable to change. Another technique is just simply drinking water. Water hydrates you. It allows your body to flow and allows the blood to flow and allows oxygen to go to the brain. If you facilitate by drinking water, that can change your atmosphere, your mind, your thinking, your ability, and your emotions.
Something like that sounds so simple. Very yoga, by the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially the whole sense of breathing. But your mind is a very complex organism, and that if you take the time to breathe, you also have the time to think.
Yes.
Right? And I would imagine that that's part of the process as well, right?
Absolutely.
So what do you do if you start thinking your way through it? Any triggers there?
There are some triggers. One is being able to foresee exactly, pretty much think about where you're going. If you're able to project yourself, you realize that you're going into, uncharted territory or uncertain circumstances. The good thing is to prepare yourself for what you're about to walk into. And simply like going to the dentist. Nobody likes to go to the dentist, but if you prepare yourself simply by breathing, probably just going with the flow. Sometimes saying, I actually hate going to the dentist, and embracing the fact that it is a negative feeling. Sometimes we have to embrace how we feel and not reject how we feel. And if we embrace it, then we can cope with it a lot better.
Well, if anger's at one end of the spectrum and peace is at the other end, it just really seems to me that a self-awareness is key to this, because that really is sort of a gateway to compatibility.
Absolutely.
Which really, wouldn't it diffuse most situations?
Knowing yourself is critical.
Yeah.
That is the first thing that you can do for the world, is know yourself. If you understand yourself, understand how you feel, understand your measurement. What I mean by that is if you understand how far you're willing to go, how much are you willing to give? If you're able to gauge all of those things, you're able to deal in relationships quite advancedly. It works with being able to know how to relate to people. It's a big thing. Yeah.
Now, I really highly encourage you, there are a lot of avenues you can take on this. Talking with somebody who would actually sit down and have a conversation with you, I think is key. Now, we'll have this interview on our website. Is there a way people can contact you directly?
Yeah, they can email me, Michael Chase, michael.chase3@gmail.com.
Okay, Michael.chase3, numeral 3.
Correct.
At
gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Well, you're doing very, very worthwhile work, and I know you work for St. Mary's, right?
Yes, St. Mary's,
so
Amsterdam.
You're involved in that, as well as helping people and individuals with conflict
Absolutely.
management. I really commend you, especially on a day like today.
Yeah.
Today is all about non-violence.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's what we should be celebrating.
Absolutely.
Good. Michael, real pleasure
Thank you
to meet
so
you.
much. Great to have you on. Thank you.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
To see this interview again, you can head to our website, LookTVonline.com.